Hello, everybody. This is Byram Som speaking. We invite you to come along while we visit one of the world's most modern training camps for young baseball players. This camp is operated by the Philadelphia American League Club, better known to fans everywhere as Connie Mack's Athletics. We're going to take you right out on the diamond for a close-up of future athletics. And in short, we're going to show you the life in spring training camp. So if you're all set, let's go. This is Moultrie, Georgia, way down south in Dixie. This pleasant little place was carefully chosen by the A's as the ideal location for a training camp. Here you find almost perfect baseball weather, warm sunny skies and balmy breezes. And here in Moultrie is the home of Spence Field, a large air training base during the war, now converted to provide complete facilities for a baseball camp. You know, young ball players, like anybody else, can get a little homesick when they're a long ways from home and cast in strange surroundings. Well, there's nothing strange about these surroundings. Moultrie is typical of the towns that stretch across this country, a lot like your hometown and mine. The youngsters really feel at home here. Incidentally, most of the big league stars today come from small towns. Yep, small towns like this, where a kid starts fooling around with a baseball about as soon as he's learned to walk. But let's get out to Spence Field. There you can see it nestling among those towering Georgia pines. It's really a beautiful setup the A's have down here. You know, they used to operate individual training camps. Then, in 1948, they decided to bring all of their farm clubs together here in Moultrie. This plan has many advantages. Probably the chief one is that all managers, coaches, trainers, and scouts can unite on one well-organized program. Here they come from all parts of the country, busload after busload of eager young ball players. Each bus represents a squad of a minor league club operated by the Athletics. The A's have 12 such clubs in Savannah, Georgia, Lincoln, Nebraska, Martinville, Virginia, Kewanee, Illinois, Youngstown, Ohio, Sunbury, Pennsylvania, Tarboro, North Carolina, Red Springs, North Carolina, Lexington, North Carolina, Welch, West Virginia, Portsmouth, Ohio, Buffalo, New York, and one club right here in Moultrie. This means a lot of jobs are open to these young fellows if they can make the grade. Right now, of course, the boys are most interested in getting out of those buses. Some have had a pretty long trip. On hand to greet them here at Spence Field are members of the camp staff. Some of these staff men have been in Moultrie for several days. It takes a lot of work to get a training camp ready, especially the ones the size of Spence Field. Here the boys line up to register and be assigned a room in the barracks. Each boy has his own bed, and a darn good one, too. The barracks are light, airy, and comfortable. The A's try in every way to give these kids real home-like living quarters. That's Chief Registrar Elmer Burkhart at the desk. Take a look at these good-looking rookies. Right in this line may be a future Eddie Joost or Hank Majeski or Sam Chapman. After checking in, the boys get a chance to wander around the camp and look over their new home. And you can bet they like what they see. Here's the cooking staff, and believe me, brother, these are real key workers in this man's camp. And now comes the big thrill of the first day in camp. The boys line up to get their uniforms. Don't think this isn't a big moment in the lives of these rookies, for those are real big league uniforms. Yes, emblazoned across the front of those shirts is the letter A. That means the Athletics, the Philadelphia Athletics. You can't blame some of these kids if their heads feel just a little too big for their new caps. Of course, most of these boys will never wear that uniform in big league competition. But right now, nobody knows who is who. Issuing of equipment winds up the first day. The boys will now go to their barracks and rest up for the big doings tomorrow. Okay, men, let's go to work. Here we see Arthur Ehlers, director of the A's minor league clubs, as he issues instructions to his managers, coaches, and scouts. A baseball training camp must operate on schedule. Each day is planned ahead to make every possible use of every minute. This camp has as many as 300 young hopefuls working out at one time, and every effort is made to give as much individual instruction as possible. This means that the instructors you see here get a real workout. These men were carefully chosen for their important job. They know the fundamentals of baseball, and they know how to teach them. Better yet, these men like youngsters and like to work with them. Now, this is important because a kindly, sympathetic word of a veteran has sent many a discouraged rookie up the long, long trail that leads to stardom. It takes a lot of patience and understanding to work with young ball players, and these men have just that. And now the day's work is on. Nothing limbers up legs any better than just plain running. Ball players, young and old, do a lot of it to get into condition. This happens to be the Savannah squad that is working out now. One of the big jobs in a training camp like this is to keep the rookies from working too hard too soon. Each boy is so eager to make good that he may start pegging that ball around with too much zip. The result is the plague of all ball players, a sore arm. All these boys just play catch or engage in the ever-popular pepper games. Sharp, experienced eyes are watching them. The A's coaching staff is always on the alert for that smooth, easy rhythm that characterizes the natural athlete. You'll notice that manager Frank Scaff of the Savannah Club is drilling his boys in infield play. Hour after hour are spent at this. For Scaff knows, as every manager knows, that a good defensive infield is the very backbone of a winning ball club. Now here's Eddie Morgan, manager of the A's Youngstown Club, showing a rookie how to play that first base bag. Himself a former big leaguer, Eddie is giving this youngster the full benefit of his long experience. Here the accent is on footwork. The youngster is shown the correct position for his feet. Then he repeats this movement until he has mastered it. Do it right. Do it over and over again. That's the slogan of this camp. Now let's watch the boys go to work on that all-important double play. This requires split-second timing and perfect coordination. You've seen the play. The second baseman breaks for the bag, takes a throw chest-high from the shortstop, pivots, rifles that ball to first, and then gets out of the way of the on-sliding runner. A beautifully executed double play is one of baseball's biggest thrills. When the day's work is over, the boys sit around on the screened-in porch. What do they talk about? Why, you guessed it, baseball. But they also find time to write letters home and to attend the movies, which are shown every night. The A's overlook nothing in providing these kids with all the comforts of home. If the evening is cool, there's a roaring fire in the recreation room. And gazing into it are young fellows with a burning ambition to crash baseball's big time. And make no mistake about it, some of them will get there. But this is another day. Here we see manager Red Norris of the Red Springs Club working with his pitchers. He is teaching them that important move to first base. Here is something that every young pitcher must learn. Red himself does a little relief pitching on the side and does it during the regular season. Here's manager Homer Cox of the Portsmouth Club working with a young catcher. He is demonstrating the proper technique in receiving and getting that ball away to second base. You know, just having a strong arm isn't enough for a catcher. He must know how to make most use of his arm. These boys are soundly schooled in the game's fundamentals. This is manager Bill Peterman and his Moultrie team, the pride of all the red-hot fans in this great baseball community. Yep, this is the home team in this big training camp. You old-timers will recognize this person. He's Chief Bender, one of Connie Mack's pitching immortals. He was a guy Mr. Mack called on in the clutch to pitch that all-important game. The records nominate him as one of the greatest money pitchers of all time. Here's Chief Bender showing his still, smooth, flawless pitching form to a group of young Huskies. You'll have to go a long way to find a better teacher for young pitchers than the crafty Chief. Notice how intently these rookies study the Chief's pitching form. The young hurlers in this camp never seem to run out of questions to ask Bender, and he never runs out of answers. He's one of the hardest workers in camp, always willing to lend a helping hand to a rookie. Incidentally, the Chief may be one of the big reasons why the Athletics, year after year, are so strong in the pitching department. Over on another field, manager Jimmy DeShong is drilling his Class A Lincoln, Nebraska club. Most of the fellows that you're looking at now have had 1 or 2 years of experience in pro ball. They've been in the Class C or D League and now are ready to move up. Here, manager DeShong is working with the rookie southpaw. Coming down off the pitching mound to field a bunt is a fielding play that every pitcher must learn. If he turns the wrong way to fire that ball to first, he's almost certain to lose his man. Mistakes in this camp are corrected right on the spot. The player is shown what to do and how to do it. Then he does it over and over again. Later, if he should happen to make the big show, the young ball player will have no time then to consider the right and wrong ways to make a play. Big league ball players must do the right thing, instantly, automatically, instinctively. Base stealing is almost a lost art in these days of slam-bang baseball. But here, manager Dutch Hoffman of the Kewanee Club is showing his boys how to get the jump on the pitcher. Many baseball men say that the runner more often steals on the pitcher than on the catcher. You're now watching Tom Oliver working with a group of young outfielders. Tom, you know, was one of the greatest defensive outfielders the big leagues ever had. Every major league candidate in the outfield comes under his wing. In this scene, he's showing the boys how to relax when catching the ball, how to get into the proper position to make the throw into the infield. The young outfielder must also learn which base to throw to, and he must always remember to throw ahead of the runner. A strong throwing arm is one of an outfielder's greatest assets, but unless he knows how to use it, it doesn't do him very much good. It's Oliver's job to see that these boys know how and where to throw. Here's one of the most important spots in this camp, the sliding pit. Here, hour after hour, the rookies are taught the right way to slide. The instructor here is Joe Angelic. You know, injuries in baseball are few and far between. With the proper equipment and the proper training, the chances of a young man being hurt are pretty remote. But of the injuries that do occur, most are associated with sliding. The young runner may hesitate an instant after starting his slide. He may get his spikes caught in the hard turf. He may forget any one of a number of things that he has learned. The result can be a broken ankle or leg, and this, to a young ball player just starting out, can have a serious effect on his career. That's why the A's place so much emphasis on sliding instruction. Here in Moultrie, there are 4 other sliding pits besides this one, and the dirt flies in all of them from morning till night. Yes, sir, the A's are determined that their young ball players will not only know how to play the game, but how to play it safely. After a hard day's work on the diamond and a refreshing shower, the boys loaf around their barracks. Sure, some of these fellas never get enough. You'll find them playing catch in the early evening. And before dinner, the boys get a chance to get acquainted with each other. You know, a lot of everlasting friendships spring up in a camp like this. Here are kids from all parts of the country with entirely different backgrounds, all donned together for a common ambition to play big league baseball. Here in Moultrie, it doesn't make the slightest difference who you are or who your parents are. The only thing that counts is what you can do out there on the diamond. Uh-oh, here's a cook with real courage. Run for your life, mister. These young guys have really got appetites. And what it takes to handle big appetites, the A's put out but good. Heaping plates of nourishing, well-cooked food. The boys are urged to take all they want, to eat all they take. And do they wade in? Why, some of these kids are hitting better than 400 in the dining room. That golden brown fried chicken, Southern style, sir. I don't know how hot this good-looking kid is on the diamond, but he's sure not a bad actor, is he? Incidentally, when do we eat? Here's the chapel where the boys attend church services on Sunday mornings, just as they would back in their own hometown. And after church, there's time for a little horseplay, or as in this instance, a little cocker spaniel play. Pretty cute little mascot, isn't he? Here's a terrific moment in this kid's young life. He's being signed to his first professional baseball contract by Arthur Ehlers, the A's farm chief. Many of the boys in this camp were recruited from the Conneaut Baseball School, which the A's conduct in various towns throughout the season. If these boys show promise, they are signed to a contract and sent to the farm club where they have the best chance. Then, as they develop, they move on up to a faster league. Good luck, son. Here's manager Archie Templeton, and he says, let's have a ball game. Technically, of course, this is only a practice game, but that's not the way these kids see it. They're really in there to play for keeps. This is their big chance to show what they can do in actual competition. Looking good in a routine camp drill is one thing, but coming through under the pressure of actual playing conditions is the payoff. Some young ball players, you know, have competitive spirit. Some don't, and it's games like this that bring it out. There are no fences here. If a boy smacks one over the outfielder's head, he's got himself a home run. And this boy has one. Touch all the bases, kid. Sure, this camp has its share of aches and pains. Here you see trainer George Dickinson working the soreness out of tired muscles. The A's have a staff of expert trainers on the job here. Even the slightest injury gets prompt attention. You can't blame the old-time ball players if they say, what goes here? This beautiful swimming pool looks more like a Hollywood setting than a baseball camp. As a matter of fact, the boys are too busy with baseball to spend much time here. But tomorrow they're breaking camp, and so the rookies get a day of relaxation. And this, mister, is what I call relaxing in style. And now it's getaway day. The buses are lining up to take these kids back to the four corners of the country. And believe me, these buses are loaded with high hopes. Each player is eager to start this new season, to battle his way up the hard road that leads, for those who've got it, to the major leagues, to Connie Mack and the Athletics. Members of the camp staff are on hand to bid the boys farewell and good luck. You know, you can get pretty fond of kids when you work with them as closely as you do in a baseball training camp. You can't help but want all of them to make good. But all of them won't. There are a lot of heartaches as well as glory in baseball. But there they go, and the rest is up to them. Ahead is a grueling grind of a season in the minors. But beyond that, what does the future hold? Nobody knows, not now, but every boy will be in there fighting with everything he's got. Goodbye and good luck. And here's the goal those kids are fighting for. It's the castle of their dreams, Shibe Park, historic home of the Philadelphia Athletics. And inside Shibe Park, here's a scene to thrill every American boy. Yep, a regular Major League ball game is underway. This is where the chips are down, for nobody plays in the major leagues except those who have reached the top in their chosen profession. Hair trigger reflexes, competitive fire, natural talent. Yep, it takes a lot of stuff to make a big leaguer. Sure, it's a far cry from the roaring crowds of Shibe Park to the quiet practice fields of Moultrie, Georgia. But some of the kids you saw in training here are going to make it, just as these stars you see with Connie Mack, Bill McCann, Elmer Vallow, Hank Biasetti, Joe Coleman, Alex Kellner, Lou Brissy, Bobby Chans, Joe Astrott, Charlie Harris, Nelson Fox, Zeb Eaton, And here's the man who has given hundreds of young ball players their big chance. Mr. Baseball himself, the one and only lovable Connie Mack.